Hurry up, dude. Are you serious? We're ready to go.
Huh?
Hurry up.
I'm putting my tires on. Calm down, Debbie. Okay?
We're finna to leave Bouncer Town here in like
Calm down.
T-minus 10 minutes.
You got time.
RC Command leads the way. Nick here with a King of the Hammers wrap-up video. I got back yesterday and just crashed. I spoke to Robert Tabor later on in the day, and he told me he did the same thing. Just an exhausting trip, and I only went for 5 days. So I can't imagine the guys that were there before me, and they're going to be there all week long for the entire event. I want to take a second. Obviously, a trip of this magnitude takes a lot of people for it to happen, especially for RC Command. We built this buggy, if you've been following, we built this buggy starting in, what was it? Sam, remind me in the comments, man. It was Christmas time. So I got this around Christmas time. I literally took it with me on vacation, and in between events, family events, I was putting little things together. Check out all of the updates and stuff that we did, Tech Tuesdays and everything. So started back around Christmas time, really got on it in January. We posted a lot of videos. I actually had a couple of weeks to test and tune with this thing together, and the people that helped make this happen are huge. Buggies like this don't get built without help. Okay, Sam Dubé from Canada, from RC Fabricatory, built this amazing one-off skidless chassis. It is set up for leading arm, my first leading arm buggy, solid axle front and rear, but it is solid. I mean, I take a lot of risks, obviously, in rock bouncing. This thing got rolled over. I don't want to say, it tumbled down a hill. It was nothing too crazy. Okay, but I rolled this thing over. We'll get some close-ups, man. It's got some scratches and bruises, but solid. There is not a bend, double shear, shock tabs. Just make this an incredibly strong system. It's not an RC. I can't explain it. It is a machine. Fast forward to race day, and we are on the hill, and I was fifth. I was drawn fifth, but we had a couple of late entries, 4 late entries, and then they started the regular driver list. Does that make sense? So I was supposed to be fifth. I ended up being like 9th or 10th, and it was a great feeling to feel what the drivers that come to my races feel. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but it kind of all culminates and kind of all comes together. We did have some testing time before the race. Okay, we got out on Saturday, we got out on Sunday, and then we raced on Monday. So I put some batteries through this thing. I probably put a good solid 4 to 6 batteries through this thing just in testing. And I know that I'm going to jump around. So definitely some weak points that we found. The SSD rod ends have got to be replaced. We're definitely going to have to go to a larger diameter rod end for strength, because and again, we're going to be racing on different terrain back east. This was a good test of rocks when we do get up against the rocks, but the SSD rod ends and the SSD trailing arms, they're gonna go. And we're probably gonna replace those with Vanquish units. They are a much stronger design. I don't think we're gonna have a choice in the front unless we can find some of the Vanquish trailing arms that are the same length as these hot racing units here. Or we could go custom. Michael Myers, if y'all don't know who Michael Myers is, man, check him out. He's making some custom trailing arms that you are gonna see RC Command use in a later build, but I would definitely get with him. He makes some pretty serious trailing arms, and I have no doubt that he could probably build me some leading arms as well. So I'm definitely going to be talking to Michael Myers about that. Hit him up on Facebook, look him up if you are looking for some trailing arms. So the SSD rod ends have got to go. Sunday night, we had this thing out at Backdoor. The Hobacks were there. Anthony Garcia was there. I mean, it was literally the all-star cast of RC rock bouncing. It was so cool, and I got to be there, and I got to play around too. So great testing day. Robert Tabor was there. You know, he is like the RC rock bouncing dealer, if you will. You know, he's my pusher man. All of us out there, he'll kill him. And came back to camp, straight up tear down bolt check for this thing, cleaned up a bunch of stuff. Robert Tabor did the same thing. Robert Tabor completely rebuilt his entire buggy. Anthony Garcia got some great footage of him working on his. He swapped, went from open diffs to locked. I mean, it was a great work night, Sunday night. It really was. I found when I came back from camp, I had a loose bolt on my high altitude performance sway bar arms. Okay, so I wanted to back it all the way off and re-Loctite it and put it right back down and tighten it up and make sure everything's good. It's got 2 set screws that pinch the torsion bar. Okay, we had that sway bar on kill. That thing was ready to go. All I needed to do was tighten that back down, like just that 1 set screw, and it cross-threaded. For whatever reason, it cross-threaded. So it took some time to get it out. Robert Tabor, Justin Hoback came together, helped me get it out, and we found out that it was stripped. I guess the last time I put it in, I cross-threaded it somehow. I don't know how. The tolerances are amazing. High altitude performance builds some amazing parts, but it was my bad. So I was freaking out because I thought that I was going to have to run without a sway bar. I haven't been driving this buggy without a sway bar. It's had that high altitude performance sway bar the entire time. I was confident in the way the buggy felt and drove and everything, and so now I'm thinking to myself, here we go, it's the night before the race and I don't have a sway bar. Well, again, coming to my rescue, Mr. Robert Tabor. Rob, thank you so much. He had another set of sway bar arms. He had multiple sets of sway bar arms. Again, if you need any parts or a whole buggy, please go to Robert Tabor. He had a sway bar kit that was approximately the same length, the arms anyway, as the high altitude performance units. So we bolted it up. My only concern was it was only set up for 1 set screw where mine was set up for 2, but we were able to get it secured to the torsion bar, and we raced with it Monday, and it was like nothing had changed. It was like nothing had happened. So again, thank you, Rob. You've saved me in more ways than one this past weekend. Electronics, Shift RC. I mean, I was already impressed with Shift, and then Shift came on board to sponsor the Command team for 2020. So I did get a Shift RC servo, the S2. Very excited about the new one coming out. I did get to see it in action. I can't wait for y'all to be able to order yours and get yours in hand. They are bomb-proof, man. I was hitting stuff that we don't have in the West. We don't have back east that's only in the West. Nothing that I have hit with this thing here in Arizona, and it's a lot of the same terrain. But just being out with the boys, just being out with other drivers, and having a machine that was just as good as theirs, you know, just as competitive as theirs, as a Hoback chassis. I mean, you know, Danny Furness was out there running his Hoback chassis. My goodness, he's running those super shafty axles, front and rear steer. Oh, sick Buggy. But anyway, so I'm out there and I'm hitting stuff hard, and the Shift servo is just taking it, just taking impact, and I'm getting in tight areas, and it never failed. It was just an amazing piece of equipment. One thing that I did notice, and one thing that actually was the reason for me not finishing the hill at the shootout, was my ride height. So we are going to address that with a taller shock. We're going to try a few things with the springs, tighten down the spring retainers a little bit, but I really am pretty much sold on going with a taller shock. I'm definitely going to stick with the Proline Power Strokes, but we have to go the next shock up. It has to be. I don't want to go to 5 inches. That's going to be too much for this. I want to try to get closer to 110. So that's my goal with this. Wheels and tires. The first 2 days of testing, Saturday and Sunday, we stuck with the non-cut KLRs from Voodoo Tire. Voodoo, again, a sponsor this year with an amazing amount of beef in their drive shafts. I was so excited to get a set of KLRs and get them cut and then see them in action. They are straight up dig tires. Those tires cut, man. If you are rock bouncing and you are in the West, Midwest-ish, where you're gonna have a little bit more rock, a little bit more desert, definitely a set of cut KLRs is they're gonna kill it. Way out west and where I was at, you know, the first 2 days of testing was a lot more sand than I thought that I was gonna be up against. It was endless. It never stopped. We were hitting hills that obviously had never been touched before. So there was no path. There was no nothing. I just saw a hill and I tried to climb it. And, you know, the first 2 days of testing, I wish that I had the cut KLRs. I didn't, because I knew that when we were at Chocolate Thunder, we were right next to Chocolate Thunder Trail at King of the Hammers, I knew that it was going to be rock. And I was right. I was right about that. But the first 2 days of testing, I ran these and I wished that I had my dig tires on. Probably only going to be running the cut KLRs from here on out. And the reason is Texas is going to be as far west as we're going to come. We'll be in the Midwest when we go to Missouri, but, you know, even in Missouri, you're going to need a dig tire. That's for darn sure. Okay, this thing is a beast. This thing is an absolute beast. I am 100% confident in our front axle. Just a solid piece of equipment. I had a little bit of bad juju, bad feeling about the Metal Concepts axle leading up to this. I was a little nervous. We broke 2 axles in testing, early on testing too, and I thought to myself, man, but 949 Designs came through, another big sponsor. Thank you again, Lee. Please, if you're looking for fabrication tabs or anything metal concepts, he's a metal concepts dealer. Lee at 949 Designs, hit him up. Kind of nervous going into the shootout with the metal concepts axle, but we stuck through it. Didn't break anything. I do think I'm going to replace the locker. I would like to tear it apart and check tolerances. That's what I'm going to do next. We're going to tear it apart. We're going to check tolerances in the locker and make sure that it hasn't wiggled itself to a little bit oblong, because we do have a little bit of play. Obviously, we want to make sure that we have very little backlash. Who knows? I think right now we're going to stick with the metal concepts axle. As the year progresses, just know that there could be a change. So the fit and finish of Buggy, this thing was beautiful. And if you haven't seen the kind of short little reveal video that we did just like the day before I left for Hammers, please go check it out. This thing was beautiful, and it still is beautiful. It still is. Sam, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to take anything away, but this thing has some rock rash. Dylan Patton, D-Pat's photography, huge supporter, huge sponsor, and he got me these panels wrapped and back to me so fast, and I am so thankful to have him on. He is just an artist with what he does. So if your Buggy has any panels, I implore you, please hit up Dylan at D-Pat's Photography. But they have some raw crash. So Dylan, I am going to have to pull them off, and I am going to have to send them to you again and get them rewrapped, because they took a beating, and they're on the inside of the tube. So how does that happen? But like I said, we saw a hill, and point and shoot, baby. We were killing it. So the shootout, I didn't finish the damn hill, but again, we learned some things. I was going over the shift servo with Ryan Rodriguez, the owner of Shift, and he was helping me out. He got my steering dialed in perfect, but my own mistake, I didn't turn up the power enough, back up for whatever reason, on my controller. So when I took off right out the gate, I had no steering. And so I made a quick adjustment. You'll probably see Matt. Check out Mad Ram 11. Mad Ram 11 was there filming for us. Axial has posted some stuff. But if you see me, I'm making changes on the controller, and the reason why is I'm having to turn the power up now. I don't want to crank it all the way up, because then my steering is way too much, and we're pretty much going in a straight line, so I didn't need it that bad. But so again, driver mistake, but this is the first real race that actually counted that I've ever raced in. But this was the first one that I really worked up to. I built a Buggy for, the King of the Hammers trip, and for the rest of the season, obviously, too. But I built this Buggy up for, and this was the first time. So, there's gonna be jitters. There's gonna be things and little tweaks and stuff. And I'm telling you, 2020, there is a boatload of people that are coming in that are gonna be new to this. And let me tell you, if you are one of those people, know this. I have had grown men come up to me and say, Nick, I'm racing an RC car, and when it was my turn to go, and you were telling me to get ready, get set, go, I was nervous, shaking. I was nervous. These are grown men telling me these things. So be prepared for that, okay? Justin Hoback made a great point on Sunday when we were at Backdoor, just off to the side. We were playing on backdoor backdoor. And Justin said, man, I'll go out, take my wife, and I'll have her say the same things that you say and time me with her cell phone, and that helps him, get those jitters out. So maybe if you can do something like that, have somebody time you or so you can get the feel, because you're going to have potentially 50, 100 people watching you, not including the drivers, so and growing out. That was just last year. It could be even more than that this year. Okay, so be prepared for that. So jitters worked out. We didn't break anything during the hill at the race. The actual one chance that I got, we didn't break anything. Okay, we rolled over. This thing is pretty flat. There was no saving it. I was done. So, but we found, some tweaks and some things that we need to change. February 22nd at Bridgeport, Texas. So we're going to be racing right around, I'm being told, right around the same hills that we had in 2019. So I know that a lot of guys that raced in that race loved those hills. So I'm excited. I'm excited to get back and get right in. I'm hoping right in that same area and build some nasty hills, because they were badass. They were pretty gnarly in Bridgeport last year. So yeah, I'm excited to get to Bridgeport here in a couple of weeks. So stay tuned. We are gonna make some changes to this, but we also have a new build to start. So stay tuned for that. Okay, we hope to see y'all soon. RC Command leads the way.